Today I am reviewing the MSI Codex R2 gaming desktop. If at any time you'd like to explore this product for yourself and grab it at a great price, be sure to check the links below the video. If you are looking to jump into high-end gaming without the headache of sourcing parts and building a PC from scratch, the MSI Codex R2 is a machine that demands your attention, but it also comes with a few trade-offs you need to know about before you pull the trigger. I have been putting this specific configuration through its paces for the last 2 weeks, and it is a fascinating mix of bleeding-edge performance and very standard, no-frills hardware. Let's start with the star of the show, which is clearly that RTX 5070 inside. This card is an absolute beast for 1440p gaming. I spent most of my time testing it in titles like Cyberpunk 2077 and Black Myth Wukong, and it handles ray tracing with a level of confidence that a lot of previous gen cards just couldn't touch. The DLSS 4-frame generation is the real deal here. It makes high refresh rate gaming at 4K totally viable in most titles, provided you aren't trying to push every single setting to the absolute maximum. If you want to see exactly how it is holding up in terms of current pricing, you can check the links below the video. Now, the pairing with the Intel Core i5-14400F is an interesting choice. On paper, it might look like a bottleneck to some, but in real-world gaming, it keeps up just fine. You are getting 32 GB of DDR5 RAM, which is the sweet spot for modern gaming and multitasking. I never felt like the system was choking when I had a browser with 20 tabs open, Discord running, and a game loaded up. However, if you are planning on doing heavy video editing or professional rendering, you might eventually find the CPU to be the limiting factor of this build. One of the biggest selling points for me is that MSI actually used off-the-shelf components. A lot of pre-builts from major brands use proprietary motherboards and power supplies that make upgrading impossible, but that is not the case here. When you open up the case, you can actually see the standard layout, which means if you want to throw in a larger SSD or swap out parts 3 years down the line, you are not locked into MSI's ecosystem. That adds a ton of long-term value to this purchase. That said, there are some disappointments. The air cooling is effective enough to keep the system from throttling during long sessions, but it is not what I would call whisper quiet. Under a heavy load, you will definitely hear the fans ramping up. It is not a deal breaker, but if you are sensitive to noise while playing, you might want to look into swapping that stock cooler for a quieter aftermarket option eventually. Also, the chassis itself is functional, but it feels a bit basic. It does not have the premium, heavy-duty feel of a custom-built rig, and the plastic accents feel a little bit cheap compared to the high-end internals. The software experience is pretty standard. MSI Center is useful for managing your fan curves and RGB lighting, and I found it much more intuitive than the bloated software suites that come with some other pre-builts. It is a good dashboard for a beginner who just wants to tweak things without needing a degree in computer engineering. So, who is this for? If you want a plug-and-play experience that lets you play the latest games at high settings without worrying about building it yourself, this is a fantastic entry point. It is a solid foundation that you can grow into. However, if you are a hardcore enthusiast who wants a silent, boutique-looking chassis with a top-tier liquid cooler, you're going to find the aesthetic and the noise levels a bit underwhelming. You can find more details and current pricing for the Codex R2 in the links below the video. Ultimately, the MSI Codex R2 is a smart buy for the person who values performance and upgradability over flashy aesthetics. It delivers exactly what it promises on the box, and that is a rock-solid gaming experience that will keep you competitive for years to come. Just keep in mind that while the hardware inside is top-tier, the case and cooling solution are strictly utilitarian. If you can live with that, you are getting a very capable machine.